Welcome to the Love of the Star podcast. I'm Bobby Belt, Dallas Cowboys insider for 105 through the Fan in Dallas, joined as always by former NFL scout Brian Broaddus. He is now the co-host of the G-Bag Nation, 2 to 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday on 105 through the Fan in Dallas. He's also the pre- and post-game co-host on the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Brian Broaddus, how are you doing today?
I am doing well, Robert. Such rhythm and poise with that delivery today. Not like the auctioneer guy that I'm used to the last few years.
10, 25, 30, 35, 40, 40.
And 35. And if you're going to watch The Love of the Star, you got to watch it with Brian Broaddus, former first Super Bowl winning scout.
Yeah,
anyway, it's good to be with you, Robert. Kind of putting all the pieces together now. Team going to be, I think the team's got some more changes to it as we tape here. What today are we on? Are we on Wednesday today? We on Wednesday?
Yep, taping here on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think this team, we'll see what happens Thursday, Friday. Maybe some more adjustment to the team, but at least you got your practice squads kind of set. Maybe there's some guy or two out there you might want to try and add to. I want to say something real quick, Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Putting these practice squads together, I always wanted to go get somebody else's players instead of my own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you remember the best player you ever added? Plucking anybody? Did you ever
I
find
knew
somebody?
I knew you were going to do this, but I never was to a point. I never got to, like in Philadelphia. If they would let me stay, I would have been able to go and do that. But I never had the opportunity to go. Okay, for example, we're going to go through this list, and I like Justin Rogers, the 7th round pick out of Auburn.
Yep.
I think there's a side of me that believes that he played better than Mozzie Smith. You know?
Mozzie Smith's got them cuffed a little. I'd say
no, he does. And I'm not trying to. And people out there, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm positive. Everybody's like, Broaddus, all you do is beat up on Mozzie Smith. No, I'm just saying I liked Justin Rogers. I really did. I liked Justin Rogers a lot.
He was good.
And big body, active, got some range, got some pass rush to him, could develop. But this is my point. Cincinnati got him. You know what I'm saying? That's what I kind of know. Okay, I know who Josh Butler is. I know who Princeton Fant is. I know who Kelvin Harmon is. I know who Emmanuel Johnson is. I'm gonna go out and get 6 other guys. I'm gonna go and try and attack it with 6 other guys that I kind of saw that I liked, that I'm gonna go and put on my practice squad. Maybe I'm gonna have to overpay a little bit, and maybe Dallas can't do this. But I already know these guys. I already know a lot of these guys. And some of these guys you're going to elevate, up and down. I get that. But there'll be a guy like Jalen Cropper that will be on your practice squad the whole entire preseason or the whole entire year. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was that way last year, right?
Yep.
Did we get him to a point where, there was one time where he maybe would have made your team if Flournoy had not gotten healthy and Billy Johnson would have shown more.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're a year now into this, and now through another training camp. Do we kind of know what Jalen Cropper is? And this is just me trying to educate folk. I know what the guy is. He's probably not good enough to activate, right?
Yeah, see, I think that one's – I think there's just disagreement on somebody like Cropper. I think you're right. We do know who Cropper is, but I think there's some people with the Cowboys who still think that is somebody who should be on a 53. Like, I think some people believe that's him.
But they drafted Flournoy. Flournoy is standing with you and I in week 1 on the cords. Then I get to stay for camp. And Flournoy's still standing there into week 2. He made an incredible rally to be on this 53.
Just rallying from injury. He was solid the whole time.
Just the fact that Cropper and folks, I'm just talking to you as a personnel guy, former personnel guy. I'm not trying to hammer the kid. And I'm talking about Cropper. He had the opportunity to take this job, and he didn't do it. So to me, I kind of know the player now. I know what and there's people you'll say, well, there's people in the organization that, like it. Yeah, he's a good kid. Practices hard, gives you everything he has. But now we're going to go into year 2. Year 1, he should have developed more. He should have developed to the point where we kept him around for a year so he could be receiver 6 and try and beat out Flournoy. Flournoy came in here, spotted him 2 weeks of practice, and took the job from him.
Yeah.
Folks, seriously, please, just trying to help you here. I'm just talking. I'm just talking about player development. Talking about, have you Matt Waletzko's and the Balls. I think Ball got better.
What happened with Waletzko and Ball, do you think?
I think let me ask you this. Because I do work with Vach Lombardi, who I really, really admire, and I think we do podcasts. Awesome. He is an awesome guy. And I think that he and I throw stuff back and forth. I asked him this question, and I'll ask you this question, Robert.
Yep.
Did Waletzko put Josh Ball on the street? And it's like, no. And this was, Vach said, no. TJ Bass put Ball on the street. But I think that TJ Bass was always going to be on this team.
Yeah, I think that Ball to me was a guy who, was he better at guard? Yes. But, he could play guard, tackle, or both sides. He was cross-trained. Here's the only logic I can come up with on Ball being ahead of Waletzko. Waletzko was basically hurt for his entire rookie season. Ball has been in the league a year longer. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if they just looked at it and said, 4 years later, with Waletzko basically, and maybe in their mind being in year 2 because of the year he missed with his injury, that they go, 4 years later, there's not enough of a gap between you and Waletzko and what feels like his second year for us to justify keeping you around. We think there might be more we can get out of Waletzko. You're tapped out, and so we're done.
I kind of feel like that Waletzko won his roster spot with the durability that he showed during training camp in those games where he was playing 70 plays and 90 plays. And maybe it goes back to the game against the Raiders, where the Raiders threw their starters out there for the first couple of series of the game. And as ugly and just hold on to your ass as it was, Waletzko didn't get you killed. And maybe they look at that situation. I totally get what you're saying. But I think Waletzko made this roster after the Raiders game. That they appreciated his ability to hang in there. And maybe I feel like that I don't think Awesome Richards is going to play guard anymore.
Which is a shame. I think he can.
I think he's a good guard, but you talk to people in the organization, and trust me, I reached out to a high-ranking official, and I go, hey, you guys might have found something at Awesome Richards at guard. This guy texts me back and goes, it's better tackle. I went, oh, okay, thank you. I'll just crawl back under my rock here, but that's there are some guys. I've said this before. There are guys. These front offices don't cut these players. The players cut themselves or release themselves by the way they play. That Cropper fumbling didn't help. So let me real quick, if I could, Bob. I know we got our first segment we're going through here.
Yeah, we're kind of recapping where everything's at with the 53 right now. It's all fluid.
And I appreciate you being fluid today. Did we misevaluate Malik Davis and what we thought he meant to Cowboys special teams units?
Did you? I kind of wonder. Jerry Jones clearly has a soft spot for Deuce Vaughn, and not because of Deuce Vaughn's connection to the front office.
Deuce Vaughn actually has some talent.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's just short.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think Jerry has a soft spot for Deuce, not because of Chris Vaughn, who's in the scouting department. I think he has a soft spot for what the attributes Deuce Vaughn has, and he goes, "Ooh, that's unique. I like that. I want that. I can overlook other things because I like this." And Deuce Vaughn brings you something. Deuce Vaughn has. We were talking about this on 105.3 The Fan on Wednesday morning. The idea of bringing another running back onto the roster, would that mean costing Deuce's job, which is something we talked about? Would it be adding a fourth running back if you did that, or would it be eliminating one of them like Deuce and somebody taking their spot? And I said, no, I think you're adding a fourth running back is what you're doing if you do that, because I think they look at it and say, Deuce has a skill set we don't have with anybody else. Like, Deuce does some things that we don't get from other people in the running back room. And so because of that, I think that they like certain skills that he brings, that they want some of that. They want some of that shifting. He's got the long speed's not there, but he's got some of that juice laterally. Yeah. When you talk about what he can do with, Quickness. And so I look at that, and I think that special ability outweighed. I could see them sitting down in those meeting rooms and going, Bones, you're getting Tyrus Wheat, who you love. Mm-hmm. You're getting CJ Goodwin. Mm-hmm. You're getting this guy. You're getting that guy. Like, you're going to have plenty of guys that you're allowed to have. We're just going to keep Deuce. You can do without Malik Davis. Malik Davis signed to the practice squad late. He was late. I don't know that Malik Davis had opportunities. And once the Cowboys had like three guys plucked from them that they planned on putting on the practice squad, Julius Wood, Justin Rogers, and who's the third I'm forgetting?
The corner from Southern Miss, Eric Scott. Yeah.
That once you lost those three, then I think they're just like, okay, all right, fine. Yeah, if you want to, sure, we'll bring you back. But I think I don't know how much longer Malik Davis is even on the practice squad around here.
Let me throw something at you. If they brought in another back, okay, for example, Dalvin Cook.
They did sign Dalvin Cook to the practice squad.
Dalvin Cook. Say they want, after the third week of elevations, that they want to bring up Dalvin Cook. Mm-hmm. Now, attrition sometimes takes care of itself with injuries, and you can move guys on and off the roster that way. But if this team stays healthy throughout, is that going to cost Deuce Vaughn his spot for Dalvin Cook?
No, I don't think so. That's kind of where
You're thinking Wheat or somebody like that, Span Ford, who do that 53rd.
Well, so here's the thing. What is let me look it up really quick, because I need to see what the actual rule is.
On the ups and downs?
No, specifically with the how you're able to have, like, I wonder what that does is if they just elevate. Does it cost Waletzko his spot?
Okay, yeah, it's going to cost somebody its spot. He could 3 elevations, fourth one, you have to put him on the roster.
Right, 3 elevations.
Right.
And then what happens is when Cook needs to be added to the roster, that costs Waletzko his spot.
Or, see, that's what I'm saying.
Just Waletzko, because then you get the option of, then I would think you would just start elevating the offensive lineman from the roster, from the practice. So Ball might start getting elevated at that point, right, if they feel they need the extra offensive lineman. But otherwise, I think it's I think Deuce is here. Like, this is just, I think they believe he possesses a skill set that they don't get from somebody else.
Okay. I mean, what I would worry, and I like Deuce. Deuce. He's short. I think if you got those 5 starters in a room, who they would rather block for, I kind of have a feeling they'll say Deuce Vaughn. And this is where I worry. I think the Cowboys are going to be a better run blocking team because the way they run the ball and the inside guys that affects the way they run the ball, Martin, Beebe, Smith, powerful guys. They can secure down guy, push guy. You do not want somebody running the ball slow to the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Because then now you have to hold blocks. You know what hold blocks leads to? Holding 73 offense, still first down. The longer you hold blocks, the more opportunity you have for one of those officials to throw a flag. If you got somebody that's to and through the hole, brush block them. Boom, just boom, boom, quick brush blocks.
Which getting to and through the hole has been something that Deuce got better about. Deuce last year
much better,
too much,
much better.
It wasn't decisive.
You ask those offensive linemen who they would rather block for, they will take a quick guy over a power guy any day. They don't have to hold their blocks.
Let's keep breaking down the roster. First, I want to remind you guys that you are listening to the Love the Star podcast. The Love the Star is an Audacy podcast. You can find it on the Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Brian, still talking about the Cowboys roster here. Let's kind of, broad view here a little bit. Who surprised you that got on? Who were you surprised that was released? What was kind of your biggest takeaway from looking at the 53-man roster?
You know what? I really thought that Julius Wood was going to make this team. I think he was 54. I think he was the 54th player. I kind of felt like that Julius Wood was going to serve the role of guy that plays all special teams for the running backs that don't play special teams. He was going to be the one guy that, okay, we don't have, and around the league, a lot of teams, their running backs play special teams. I thought that Julius Wood would be that guy that, like, okay, we're going to use him in that role of, and, maybe he would dress. Maybe he would dress over Wanye Thomas or something like that. But I was surprised that he didn't make the 53. And I was surprised, as we talked about earlier, let's go made the 53.
Over Ball.
I had Ball on. I'll tell you another one. And I wasn't surprised about Buddy Johnson, but I kind of felt like that maybe they would do something with Darius Harris.
Which he is back on the practice squad.
Right. So
and he could be an elevation. He's the guy who could contribute on the special teams. Now, here's some of the weird things that they've got the roster. They've got an exemption on CeeDee Lamb, where
two games.
Yeah, and he won't be used by that much. They'll have him elevated. They'll have him active next week. I would guess, because it's basically this commissioner's exempt thing that they have. It basically is the same as the IR activation window, where their practice window has been opened, and so he can practice without having to be active. But when you're ready for him to play, he's got to be activated.
He's got to be activated, and he's going to take a spot.
So the Cowboys will probably sit on that for a little while until they figure out what do we want to do with, we don't want to activate him now when we don't have to, and then have to make some cuts and stuff. Let's figure out who else we want around here first, which is smart. It's a good way to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the shuffling that they do, and when they're done, mixing and matching, maybe Darius Harris is on this roster. He might be.
Yeah. I
And
think
so I look at it as I think that he's somebody who could be back because he contributes on all the special teams and does a lot of different things. I'm curious, do you think anything about the discussion with Wood had to do with talking about safety specifically, not what he does on special teams? Do you think any of it had to do with we're playing him mostly at corner right now, but we can play Mukwamu there if we need?
Sure.
So we don't necessarily need another safety because we've got 5 guys who can do it.
I was looking for a potentially young, aggressive, good tackling defensive player. As I mentioned, my plan was none of my running backs are going to play special teams. How many of my wide receivers are going to play special teams?
Brooks, Turpin will return.
Does Brooks dress?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a good shot he dresses.
Lamb, Cooks, Tolbert, Turpin.
Turpin returns. He doesn't. He won't play coverage, but he'll return.
You think they're going to dress 6 guys every week?
I don't know that Flournoy dresses right away.
Okay.
It just kind of it depends. I think Brooks. They feel like Brooks can give them, and Flournoy showed it too. But I think they know Brooks will play special teams. Brooks will block. Brooks can
any chance that Flournoy takes over Brooks' spot and makes him inactive every week?
Could. Yeah, over time, definitely. Yeah. Look, I mean, if you just talk about athletic profile, Flournoy is more impressive than Brooks is.
You see him blocking them crack tosses and stuff. Holy jeez.
I mean, Brooks is a good blocker.
Brooks is good. He'll get in yeah.
Brooks is a good blocker, and Brooks is. I've said it before. I think Brooks is one of the better bad ball catchers on the team. Like Brooks is tough, and he'll adjust to the ball, and he has the little subtle hand fighting with corners where he's able to just get that little bit of separation in tight quarters. So I think there should be packages in every game plan each week, or certain down and distance situations where 3rd and 4. Like I think there may be certain packages where you should have Brooks on the field, like because I trust that he's going to catch it a slant over the middle of the field. More than maybe some other guys. And so to me, I look at it and say Brooks is somebody who I think could at least play a couple plays on offense while also contributing special teams pretty consistently. When you look over the roster right now, that's
Spanford was another one that I didn't think was going to make it.
Spanford is sunk cost fallacy to me. I think they go, we spent money on him, we can't drop him yet.
The fact that they spent so much money on him that if they put him out there that somebody would claim him because they were battling teams to get him, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's who did they do this with years ago when they gave him the big signing bonus and then he didn't even make the practice squad? I don't think was it George Farmer, the receiver from back in the day? I think he got a big signing bonus.
Was it the kid from USC? Is that who you're thinking of?
George Farmer, yeah. And he got a big signing bonus, and then he didn't even – that one just never clicked into place. It was similar to that. I don't think there's an argument really to be made that Spanford was better than Fant. Like, I think Fant was better, and it's just there's more investment right now in Spanford.
Is there any reason to have the Spanford dress as one of the 46?
See, that's what I was about to ask you. Who are the game day inactives, do you think, right now? Because I think Spanford is probably one.
I think so, too.
Spanford is one of the linemen? Is Willetsko an inactive?
I think Willetsko's an inactive, yeah. Absolutely.
Willetsko, Spanford, Lance,
yeah.
Flournoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unless Flournoy starts beating out, unless he becomes... I know you really, really like Brooks, and I like Brooks too.
A receiver, one of them, Brooks or Flournoy, probably. Just to throw them in there, and then I don't know, man. It's tough to view I would have a tough time viewing it right now and thinking who can you not dress on defense? Thomas?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Mozzie.
Mozzie might not. Yeah, because I mean, are you?
You got Phillips. You got Phillips and Joseph that could play. I mean, Phillips can play the
Joseph, Odigizua, and Nealand and Golston can kick inside.
Yeah.
So probably Mozzie. Mozzie's probably game day inactive. Thomas, and then you find one more.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. That if that's kind of the group that we're looking at there.
Sure.
But I mean, it's much harder to find somebody you don't dress on defense because they're running so thin right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Booth. I don't think they're making Booth inactive because that would give them 4 corners.
What they might be able to do that. What? But well, they got. Did you dress McQuamu?
I would, because if you're not going to dress Thomas, you would need to have somebody else who can play safety.
There you go.
And so but I mean that only gives you 4 corners potentially.
Why does Booth have that Awuzie vibe to him?
Because he doesn't know how to turn and look for the ball.
It's that. Remember Awuzie?
Yeah.
Remember Awuzie would always be so close.
Yep.
And he would just miss the ball, and then he would clap his hands, which I absolutely hate when a player does. Yeah.
Oh. Show me the clap. What does it look like? It's usually like this, right?
It's like
yeah.
that, you know,
Damn, this close.
That close. If you're a clapping player, you're a pretty bad player.
I think that
that's the Brian Broaddus theory, which probably holds no water.
It's not a bad one. It's something that when you look at, I don't think you're the only one who thinks that way. I think a lot of people dislike the clapper.
If you are clapping on tape, there's generally something wrong with your game.
Yeah.
You just missed. You didn't catch it. You missed the hole. You know, there's always something wrong with you when you clap.
Yeah. That was there was a lot of Tyler Guyton clapping early in training camp, and that's how you could see the improvement of Guyton. He was clapping less. There was less of the like, damn, just missed, or damn, got worked.
I hope since we've been back from Oxnard, I hope him and Duke have had some sessions together.
I think he's going to be. He'll be solid right out of the gate. He's going to have
his
growing
hands,
pains.
his hands, Bobby, his hands. I worry. I mean, it's that outside headbutt.
You don't want to just see those hands for clapping. I get it.
No, I want those hands inside, grabbing the breastplate of that shoulder pads and holding like a son of a gun is what I want to do.
Grab you some breasts, Tyler Guyton. That's what you want. You want him to just get in there and grab it.
Yeah, this ain't 6 a.m. to 10, Bobby, on Monday through Friday. You know, this is like a legitimate show, not that crap you do every morning on 105.3 The Fan.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, there was one opening. I can't take the one opening that you give me there. All right, before we go to the mailbag. I know you did get a chance to watch Dalvin Cook a little bit.
Yeah. He's a quicker version of Zeke, a little bit quicker than Zeke.
Not as good as a pass protector, right?
Not
Cook
at all.
Cook will fumble the ball. Cook will not pick up a blitz.
If they catch the ball, well, the blitz pickup stuff is clearly in Zeke's corner. And Dalvin, they both can't turn the corner. That's a problem. I know people have shown the one long run he had against the Ravens when he was in the playoffs against the Texans. I think there was 100 and something other plays that I looked at that don't look that good. But here we are. Is he worthy of being on the roster to you? I really like the 69 plays from the preseason I watched of Frank Gore Jr.
Frank Gore Jr. I was kind of surprised he got cut in Buffalo just because of
they've got guys, Ray Davis. They've got some guys that they've got
the Rangers owner.
Yeah, they got some really good backs. I mean, good backs, tough backs. But Frank Gore, to me, I would have put a claim in for him.
Do you believe?
But it might have cost me Deuce, where it should have maybe cost me Zeke, something like that.
Yeah, I mean. I don't know.
I hope they're right about these backs. I hope I hope that they're right, because I think this offensive line can. I think they're going to find a way to run the ball. I hope they have the right combination of backs. I think Hunter Lipke will be better as a fullback when they use him. Maybe we'll see Stevens, Schoonmaker, Ferguson. I think Ferguson's the best blocker, but he'll try. But I just don't. I think they're going to run better. I just worry about the combination behind the line. That's what I worry about. They're gonna. I wonder how many games in they're going to figure out that Rico Dowdle is the best back.
I would hope they already know that.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean,
number 15's getting the work.
There's gonna be
they're gonna break the glass and pull the old number 15 out, and they're gonna hand him the ball, and God willing that they're gonna get pushed and he's gonna get more than 3.5 yards of carry.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed. You are listening to the Love the Star podcast. The Love the Star is an Audacy podcast. You can find it on the Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Brian, it is now time for our Dean Julia Love the Star mailbag, where we get.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
How pathetic did I just sound right there, Ben, talking about Zeke running the ball? Pretty pathetic, didn't I?
No, I mean, I think that's the reality of where Zeke is right now.
Yeah.
That's
maybe Dalvin Cook is too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, could be. Look, Dalvin Cook and Zeke are 2 weeks apart in age.
Very similar.
Zeke just has about 600 more touches over the course of his career, but they're close enough in age. Fun fact here for you, which you already know this, I think. Dalvin Cook was the last first-round grade the Cowboys had on their board when they took Taco Charlton.
I remember that.
He was the last one, and they were just like, oh, we already got a running back, and now here they are together at the end of their careers, Brian. All right, let's get some questions in here from our listeners. First question here from Mario. He says, why didn't the Cowboys do their customary release of C.J. Goodwin and Trent Sieg? It could have saved Julius Wood and Justin Rogers. I did think it was we didn't get the normal vested veteran cut from them. I don't think they were worried about any return thing because C.J. Goodwin's played ball with that. I just don't think they found they needed to because they got the exemption on Lamb, so they didn't need the extra spot in order to get Adoga to IR, and there was nobody else they were really able to stash.
Who do you cut to get those guys back that you know?
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to have somebody in mind that you're going to IR. Are you going to come up with a fake injury for Justin Rogers and Julius Wood to IR them?
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, you would have to get creative, but you'd have to prove.
And they'd have to be willing to do it. They'd have to be willing to. I'm banged up.
Yeah, you put somebody on IR now. I mean, it's the Thomas, the guard, they immediately put him on IR, so he's done for the year. He ain't playing.
There's no designated to return there.
Yeah, so.
Well, and Rogers, that's important. Rogers cleared waivers. He didn't. He signed somewhere else. Is what he chose.
He sure did. He chose to sign with the Bengals.
So that means he probably was not going to play ball with you on getting fake IR'd or something like that. So I don't think that
they might be doing that with Fehoko. You know, they might.
Yeah, he got waived injured, right?
And he reverted. I saw the waiver wire today. He got reverted to from waived injured to injured reserve. So
he's on IR now.
He's on IR. They can hold him the whole year, or they can injury settle him and give him a couple of game checks and get him off if he wants to go play football somewhere else.
Question here from Stevie. He says, what changes do you anticipate for the final 53-man roster based on the players currently on the team? Anything, Brian, that you're looking at going, this spot could still shift, this could change here, this could change there? I wouldn't be surprised if we see linebacker movement.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
They went thin there, and man, there's too much smoke around DeMarvion Overshown right now. He's starting to worry me.
Brad Sham talked about that last week when we had him on the pregame show against the Chargers. He said, keep an eye on Overshown, that this hip pointer that he has is more severe than we are thinking right now. So yeah, we could see some linebacker gymnastics here in the next few days, or maybe into even next week.
Next question here from Todd. Do you think John Stevens Jr. will have any kind of game day role for this offense? He'll be active, I would imagine, but
Yeah, he's the second best tight end on the roster.
he probably won't get the second most snaps, though, will he? That'll still be Schoonmaker, I would imagine.
Yeah, but there's things that John.
Will there be packages for him, do you think?
Sure, there'll be. I mean, John Stevens is. There's some athletic things. You saw John Stevens go up the side. It's a shame he fumbled the damn ball, but that is a big, tall, long son of a gun, and he's gotten better as a blocker. Backside cutoffs, things like that. I mean, his footwork's really, really good. He doesn't always sustain, but he's going to learn how to hold and use his athletic ability to kind of hold guys off. But you put him on the backside, he's got some promise doing that.
It's been a little inconsistent with him in some areas where you see
he's
the
better
flashes.
than he. I don't think he wowed us like he did last year, but I think he's starting to come around. I really do.
And he's really smooth, and the athleticism's great.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times you see it though where it's like, oh, okay, he's still working through some stuff to become the consistent kind of player that was still coming off of a big injury. And that's something. It's an injury that's tough to come back from. Next question here from Isaac. Do you think Kalen Carson is capable of stepping up as a viable starting outside cornerback until Bland returns? What are Carson's strengths, and what does he need to work on?
His strength is that he's competitive, he's tough, he's smart, he's coachable. He will get physical at the line of scrimmage. His weaknesses, I don't know how good his deep speed is. So he's got to get his hands on you. He's got to knock you around a little bit. He's got to
Which he'll do. He'll do it.
He will absolutely do. He'll tackle. His first 3 plays of the Rams game, he was as timid as can be. And then all of a sudden he made a tackle, made a play for a no gain. And next thing you know, it kind of clicked him to where, okay, I can play in this league. But he can carry guys inside. He can, it's just if people take him vertically, I don't know how great. I shouldn't say I don't know. His deep speed looks like it might be a little bit of an issue.
It's something where you mentioned him getting the tackle, and then he kind of settled into a rhythm. That reminds me of what you've always said about Dak.
Yeah,
like he needs to feel the game.
Feel the game. Get a little bloodied. Get a little muddied. Kind of understand how the flow of the game is. This kid can play. He was on their board. I've said this before. He was a 3rd-round grade on their board. Deep corner draft. I think he got lost along the way. This kid's he has the same type of ability and same type of, and maybe even a more physical Deron Bland when he came out of Fresno State. This kid can play.
Ronnie is asking, Brian, what did you see, if anything, on Tyus Bowser, who worked out for them?
Yeah, that was.
Was Bowser just a check-in? You think, like, see where he's at physically?
Oh yeah, they were clearly looking at, they were clearly trying to figure out where he was health-wise. Let me pull up my notes for you real quick here, but yeah, they were just trying their best to see where he was. There's nothing wrong with the, taking a look at guys. And let me pull up Bowser real quick. He was kind of in that initial group of like the Charles Harrises and Carl Lawsons, and
2017 he was one of the dozen edge rushers they brought in for pre-draft visits that year.
Ngakoue, but this is what I said about him. Hurt his knee before the 2023 season. So the film I saw was from 2022. He plays as a stand-up. This is with the Ravens. Plays as a stand-up outside linebacker to 3-4. Good initial quickness. Had some pop off the ball. Needs to be more aware of the ball at him. Felt like that they were able to kind of take advantage of his awareness. But I thought there was some good inside rush to him. He'll use his hands to free himself. He just can't quite grab the corner as a pass rusher. And he's had a couple of deals where he's had injuries with a knee and an Achilles. So maybe that's something that's kind of slowing him down. I like the way he was able to extend on blockers. He can control with some power. You can use him in coverage. I like to see him play with a better burst. But he can close down the backside when free. I'd like to see a little bit better change of direction. It might have something to do with his injuries. I thought he labored some, and he's 29 years old. They were just kicking the tires on that one.
Yeah, and a guy who they liked back in 2017, and a guy who is a Texas kid and went to Houston.
Right.
Nick Eatman made a point, and I don't know if it was either, but Nick was like, I kept having to look and see, all right, does he have the same agent as Cook or something? Like, was this a favor to an agent? Like, yeah, we'll give him a look. We'll because those kind of things will definitely happen.
Oh, absolutely, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
Not that he's in this state at all. Cowboys did a little bit of one of those. Here's a favor. Let's check in physically with Eric Berry a couple of years ago when he was brought in for a visit.
You get him on the waiver wire, and people are like, "Oh, look, he's working out for people." Oh, look,
sometimes it's just a solid. You're doing a solid somebody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Last one here from Coach Burton. Over under 5.5 carries for Deuce Vaughn week 1 versus Cleveland.
Under.
What if I say over under 5.5 touches?
Ooh, I think we're at 5.
Is that
I'm gonna say. Oh wait, well, are you including that? If you're including,
are we put?
God, I hope not. If you get a bunch of kick,
is the kick return team Turpin and Vaughn for you?
I think so. Yeah.
And so Vaughn, if they kick it his direction.
Yeah, I mean touches. Yeah, if that's what you're including, yeah, there you go. That thing could be. I was just talking about
carries.
Offense.
What do you think about 3?
3. Yeah, I would say. Well, it depends. Like I said, depends on if Zeke's got anything going, and then what's the situation. I have a feeling that Turpin might have more carries in this game than Deuce.
Will Vaughn get do you think Deuce Vaughn will get a series? Like, hey, this is the Deuce Vaughn series, or do you think he'll only get certain down and distance packages?
Certain ones. I think you're going to see. I think Dowdle and Zeke are going to be the interchangeable guys, and then maybe we're going to throw Deuce in there for some specialty stuff.
Do you think we're gonna see huddles where it's Vaughn and Turpin on the field, and then you're gonna see Turpin going to the backfield and Vaughn into the slot?
That'd be interesting.
I bet they play with that a little bit.
I like to see some creativity in the running game, but I feel like I said, the offensive line, I think they just need the right combination of backs, and I think it's going to be clear early if they've got the right group.
That does it for us here today on the Love of the Star podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. There will be some more fluctuation with this Cowboys roster, but next week, it's that time. We're going to be ramping up 3 episodes a week, and we will be covering this Cowboys team from all angles, previewing this Browns game and where the 53-man roster ultimately settled down. For Brian Broaddus, I'm Bobby Belt. We'll talk to you guys again later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.